Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Yvonne here with Mayesh Wholesale Florist. We're doing February 19th Mornings with Mayesh show right here, right now. I'm so glad that you guys are joining me. I'm going to give everyone a few minutes to come on in before we get started. While we are waiting, I would love for you to share with me where you're from. So say hello in the comments below. And as we're getting started too, if you have any questions while we're chatting, go ahead and post those in the comments as well. Today, I am going to be here with Dave Taggy and hopefully Shelley Anders to answer your floral questions. I'm saying hopefully, Shelley, because we're having some technical difficulties as that happens from time to time. So hopefully we can get that figured out while I'm going through the intro. Good morning, Penny. And Huntress Florals are two. I love you guys. You're here no matter what, rain or shine, no matter what the day. So thank you guys. Love it. I'm also going to go over just kind of for anyone that is new and doesn't know how this show works, we're going to go over some housekeeping things as well. I have Desi in the control room with me. So good morning, Desi. Everyone say hi to Desi. She's going to be helping out by posting links and just keeping us all organized. We appreciate you, Desi. And I also wanted to let you guys know that we will be posting our replay along with the show notes and our podcast up on the blog within the next day or so. The podcast takes a little bit longer, but everything else will be done. So typically I'll put the replay up and then I'll add the podcast once that's finished. So very good. For anyone that needs the captions, I just want to let you know that that will be up as well. It takes between 24 and 48 hours to get the captions done, but we will add those to the replay videos as well for you guys that need that. Or for anyone that wants to listen to it quietly while you're laying in bed with a baby, for example, because I used to watch lots of videos and things like that when I had my tiny babies. All right, guys. I wanted to also let you know that today's show is brought to you by Mayesh Design Star Flower Workshop Tour. We have 3 dates left for 2019, guys, and I hope that you don't miss them. Our next dates are coming up in May after Mother's Day, May 20th and 21st. It is our all levels class for Nashville. Then we're heading to Austin in August, and then we're hitting up and ending in Columbus, Ohio in November. How cool is that? So I hope that you guys can join us to one of them. Or at one of them. Our San Diego one was amazing, phenomenal, and we're going to be sharing, I think, video from that very soon. I think that's almost done, and all the beautiful photographs that Nicole took there. So, and you know, I was talking about the workshop earlier. I don't remember when, and I think with Sarah Campbell. Did you guys see? We talked about marketing with Sarah Campbell from Intree. Super awesome. But we were talking about how a lot of the students that go to these workshops do it so that way they can use that to build their portfolio, and they'll go to multiple workshops so that way instead of spending money on creating a styled shoot and things like that, we're technically doing all of that for you guys. So it's just a great way to learn something, to get out of your bubble, to build up that portfolio, get beautiful images you can use in your marketing, your website, social media. And I had people saying, they didn't know that they got professional images. And yes, we do. So Nicole does an amazing job. You get a whole folder of images of your work and then the work that we do as a group. So it's just a really great way to build up that portfolio. That's so important to business. Ooh, and I see Shelley. She, I think, is coming to us on her mobile phone. So this is our first time doing that. So we'll see how that goes too, guys. You're my guinea pigs, and I love that. So thank you. I also wanted to mention we have in a week and a half, we are going to Quito, Ecuador, guys, for our very first international experience. It is a combination of a workshop plus touring flower farms and then a little bit of touristy things too. So it's going to be amazing. My whole team is so stoked. We're bringing a couple people had to, they're not able to come last minute. But I think the final count is we're bringing 22 students with us, plus a few companions as well. And in addition to our team. So in total, I think there's going to be about 35 of us. And it's going to be amazing. So it is sold out, but I wanted to post the link for our Quito workshop so that way you can check out the details. And there's a form there that you guys can fill out. So if you want to be the first to know about our next international experience, I don't know when it's going to be or where it's going to be. We have talked about things, but nothing's final. But when we do have something final and something solid, you guys will be the first to know. So be sure that you fill that form out. So that way you guys will be the first to grab those seats, because it will sell out, I think, very quickly. It sold out this time. It sold out pretty fast. And I know the next one is just going to be just as amazing. So stay tuned. I also want to make sure that you guys get your calendar out and mark March 19th for our next regular scheduled show. All right, guys. So now it's time to get started. I am going to bring Dave and Shelley on. See how this goes. Hey, Dave. Hey, Shelley.
Good morning, Yvonne.
Hello.
Hey, Shelley.
Can you see me, guys?
We can see you.
I can see you and we can hear you, and everything is looks good.
Hey, this is pretty cool doing it on mobile. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you, Shelley. I know for some reason it's always, I don't know, the webcam over there doesn't like us for some reason. No. So happy Tuesday, guys. Happy Tuesday after Valentine's Day. I know you all are probably pooped. So thank you, Dave and Shelley, for joining us. And thank you everyone else that is here live with us as well. Who wants to go first? Do we have any cool flowers to show off today?
Shelley, you want to go first?
Well, I had a few technical issues, so I didn't have time to grab a bunch. But I do have, you guys, I don't know if you have these, Dave. You guys probably... Everyone's freaking out over these dyed tulips.
Oh.
So we did get some here at our branch. You can see them.
Painted brownies.
So we're testing them out to see how they do, because they are dyed. But that's all I have to show you guys this morning.
I love it.
Yeah, I brought some too. I was going to save them for last, but that's okay. These things are amazing. Everybody's going crazy over these things on social media. When they open up, you can see a little bit more of the dye, the striping in them. We vase tested them, and normally dyed flowers tend to, especially when they're stem dyed, they tend to perish quicker. But these, whatever variety they're using as the base for this, is extremely strong. These things last almost like 6 days in our office with the heat on, because it is a little bit chilly here lately. So anyway, really cool. Okay, moving on. I have some Blackberry Scoop Scabiosa from South America, and this stuff is huge.
So pretty.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's pretty.
And those are from South America, you said?
Yeah, this is actually an Ecuadorian grown, and I was looking at it earlier, and they actually put Gerber straws on each of the stems of these bunches to hold the head straight up. So there's a little pro trick for you guys at home, so that you can keep them from bending over.
I love them. So pretty.
Japanese product is hot, hot, hot. Right now we're doing a lot of importing. So I'm going to show you a couple of the ranunculus. I know one of these we've already shown a couple times, but can't help it because just love it. This one is...
And by the way, Dave, so does everyone else. So it's all good.
This one's called Pomerol, and it's this really funky, it's got the black center, and these are not cheap, fellas. These are extremely expensive, but they're so worth it. The head size on them is about 3 times the size of the California grown ranunculus. And the Japanese are doing all these really cool varieties. And this is the Charlotte one that we've shown probably 3 or 4 different times. But I mean,
it's the center.
They're huge. They're enormous. All right, one more item. We're showing a lot of bleached and preserved products right now, and they're trending really big on Instagram. So we brought these in. I believe these are Japanese, but the Dutch are also doing some different bleached and preserved items. This is the umbrella fern from Japan. It's just funky, cool, textural, and it lasts forever. We actually have one in the office. I should have brought it in. It's a year old, and it still looks fantastic. It's a little bit curled, but it dries well. That's it.
Cool. Love it. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Shelley. We're also going to post a link for our latest Flower 411. I love this. It's not anything fancy. It's just a really great list, an informational list, straight from our purchasing department, talking about what things are coming available, what things might be hard to get, what things might be very expensive. It's a communication that they send out to all of our branches and to all of our sales reps. So it's a really great tool that all of us use. So we always want to make that available to you guys and just clean it up a little bit and make it look a little bit nicer for our blog. So head on over to there. Desi will post the link and check it out. I hope that it's helpful. And with that, we're heading into our next question. Real quick, I do want to point out, because she's breathing heavy behind me, I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I have my really old bulldog in my office today, and she's snoring quite a bit. It's very cute. So if you hear weird noise, that's what it is. So shout out to my little Lola. All right. So our first question, and it is my favorite question. So Sharon, if you are listening, go ahead and message or go to our website, go to the contact form, or shoot me an email, because I think almost all of you guys have my email address, yashton@mayesh.com, and give me your mailing address, and we'll send you a Mornings with Mayesh travel mug. And Sharon's question is, what is the best type of gypsophilia to order for weddings with strictly that one type of material in their arrangements bouquet? So I totally read that wrong. What is the best type of gyp to order for weddings when you're only using one type of material in their arrangements and bouquets? I think that's how it should read. All right. Who has an answer for that one?
Well, there's a ton of varieties out there, and some have become passe, and there's some new ones coming in. The hot new one that we're selling here is called My Cosmic, or My White Cosmic. It has the larger blooms like an Excellence gyp, but it's a pure white variety. It doesn't tangle as much, and it lasts a really long time. The other one is Wild Pearl, which looks a little bit like Million Stars, but it's got flat kind of blooms with little green centers. And I wish I would have thought to bring in a couple bunches of those to show you guys, but those are the two we're selling now. They're kind of being they're phasing out the older Million Stars and the Excellence that we used to carry here.
Very cool. I just wanted to do a shout out to Esther from London. She's watching from the UK, guys. How you doing, Miss Ross? All right. Thanks, Dave. Our next question is from Jen and Jesse. They want to know what are some freelance floral design rates and industry standards? Shelley, do we have industry standards for freelancing?
There's not. I think it depends on your level of expertise. Hold on, guys. I'm going to plug my mobile in here so it doesn't die on us. That would be bad. There's really not any industry standards. It depends on your level of expertise and what the company you're working for is willing to pay. Most people starting off in the industry, newer floral designers, will make anywhere from $12 to $15 an hour if you're lucky. And if you are working on events and you're doing weddings and all of that, where you can charge a day rate, and that will usually run around $200 to $300 a day. Most average is $200 a day. So it's really just dependent on how much expertise you have and what your own experience has been in floral design. You can kind of fake it till you make it too, and say, I have more experience than I do, but you better be worth your weight in salt there and really know what you're doing. So if you're going to fake it, so but yeah, that's about the average.
Very cool. Thank you, Shelley. Who that's listening? Who freelances here? I'd love to know. Raise your hand. Let me know if you freelance. And if you want to share your rates, if you want to be brave, that'd be cool too. But we understand if you don't want to give that away.
Yeah. experienced designers will usually make $25 to $30 an hour. So it's either that or a day rate. So you just kind of, after you've been doing this for a few years, you kind of sort of set your own rate.
Yeah, yeah. Very cool. I know. And then just FYI, I know in Miami, we're always looking for really good quality freelancers because we get some of the big designers, just like a lot of the other destination areas. Big designers will come in who are not from the city and they need help. And so if you're good, they're gonna take you on and you'll probably get to work on some really cool events. So I've gotten to see some really fun things too, little sneak peeks of celebrity things going on, which is always fun. All right. Our next question is from Courtney. She says, I always hear from Mayesh reps at Mayesh that they cannot get me a Southern Smilax. What is a good substitution that is available for Mayesh? Preferably something in longer pieces and not like Italian ruscus. They have to attach it all together to get the same feel. Basically, is there anything long and vine-like that we can get? What can we get in winter months till like February?
Well, this is great timing for you because we've acquired a couple new ways to source this product, and it's more consistent and more cost effective. Smilax does tend to gap in production in the late spring and early summer when the new growth is too tender to cut. It has a limited availability in the winter months also, but luckily there's other options available for you. And sometimes it's just popping into your Mayesh and looking at all the really cool novelty greens we have. I love Nag-Eye. I like using Ivy. I think those are a couple good substitutes, but it really depends. You can build a bunch of different looks. So.
Okay, cool.
One of the problems with Southern Smilax is that it gets held by our ag USDA here in California. Because it's a wild foraged product, it sometimes has bugs or it's bug bitten. It gets confiscated a lot. And this is probably why your Mayesh rep has told you that they can't get it or it's difficult to get. It's hard for us to absorb that cost. So it's a thing that you have to kind of buy at your own risk. Like Dave said, we do have some new sources for it. We got some in last year that were actually pretty nice. I think it's actually a grower that's trying it out. But my favorite to use is Camellia or Italian ruscus. I know one of the reasons that designers love Southern Smilax so much is because it's so easy. It's a big old box of vines and you just throw it up. There's hardly any labor involved in the installation. So with other greeneries, you need to either use cages or chicken wire. If you use chicken wire, it's pretty easy. Chicken wire is just like the duct tape of the floral world. It's just so easy. Yep. Throw it up on a structure and then you can just weave the greenery in. The greenery will hold up. It will not wilt. So you don't really need to use Oasis or Oasis cages. But Sean at our workshop here in San Diego did a really lovely wall installation with Camellia and some Smilax and the Floral. And it really was stunning. And I thought to myself, wow, it almost looks like Southern Smilax. And I've always loved using Camellia as a greenery too. So that's a good option when Camellia is around and available too. So don't be afraid to try using chicken wire because you're not going to find another greenery that does what Southern Smilax does, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very unique. And what about like the hops? I know it's not the same, but it's viney. When is that available?
Those won't be around till like August, September.
Yeah, and it has a really short window. It's August, September. We have people who have tried to dry it, and it doesn't really work well unless you can dry it in place. It sheds and falls apart all over the place. So,
I did hear that. Yeah. It'll stay once it's dry, but you cannot move it.
Yeah.
Very good. Good information. Thanks, guys. Our next question is from, it's an Instagram handle. It's the Mrs. Beku, maybe. I'm awful with names, as I've said repeatedly, so sorry. She wants to know what's the trend right now in wedding bouquets, color and seasonal flowers.
Well, we're still seeing a lot of tones of nude and blush, but it's kind of got an edgier feel right now. A lot of our designers are using mustard with that and lots of dries and textures. That nude, elegant look is here to stay. It's probably not going to change much. We're starting to see some really colorful use of some interesting drieds and preserved things to give the weddings a little bit more unique look. You should also start seeing less of a heavy greenery look. You're still going to have this sort of wild, looser garden feel, but it's not going to have so much greenery in it. That's a trend that kind of has been heavy for the last 2 or 3 years. People start getting tired of seeing the same thing all the time, so they want to do something a little different. So you're going to see still a loose look, but with less greenery. And a lot more cleaner, smaller designs. The royal wedding will influence floral brides for a few years. It always does. So the big, massive bouquets you've seen will start shrinking back into smaller, more tailored bouquets. So that's always the trend. It goes really, really big and wild, and then it starts tightening back up and tailoring in because people want to see something different. Your eye gets tired of seeing the same thing all the time. And you're starting to see that on a lot of the Instagram feeds. But yeah, those
Very
new
cool.
are not going to go away anytime soon.
Nope.
Yeah.
I believe it. I believe it. And then it just kind of goes to the old adage of what is old is new again. It's just
Exactly.
the cycle within our industry, which is very cool. I like that. Let's see. Next question is from Jasmine. She wants to know, how do you determine the amount of foliage and flowers to order for a wedding arch? Typical budget bearing expensive seasonal flowers. Barring. Typical budget barring expensive seasonal flowers. Today I'm not doing a good job reading these questions. Sorry, guys.
Okay. This is something that a lot of designers struggle with because they see this massive arch and they're like, how do I figure out how much product to use? And a floral design, I always say, is very mathematical. It doesn't seem like it is, but it's very mathematical. And what you can do is a mock-up of the area of the arch if you're really struggling with trying to figure it out and you haven't done a lot of them. You take just a section of the arch that you want to create and you do a mock-up of it, and that mock-up will have the ingredients in it that'll fill that space, and then you just multiply that by the size of the arch. It's a real easy way to do it. It won't be an exact science, but it'll give you an idea of how much product it takes to really fill a square foot. So that's always my trick. Also with measuring, when you have to measure how much of a space, just take a ribbon, a string. You don't even need a measuring tape for this part of it. And if you have to hang garlands or go the length of an arch, measure that and loosen it a bit so you can see where the hang is going to be. And then measure that, and that'll give you a good idea of how much product you need. It's pretty easy once you do it that way. Just make a recipe, always make a recipe.
Very good. I love that advice. Our next question is from Maggie. She wants to know, how do you arrange your stems to have that perfect side-by-side spiral look in a clear vase?
This is a European technique, and this is called a spiral bound or a millefiori design. That all of the stems lay on the same plane, and this is a technique that all floral designers should learn how to do. There's two camps with design bouquets. It's you either do it spiral or you do it where that's kind of a clutched or gathered bouquet look. The great thing about the spiral bouquet is when you do that bouquet, your stems can be very narrow in the middle. They're all laying on the same plane, so they don't crunch or break or go against each other. It's hard to explain how to do this on our video today, but I will tell you, if you get some, this is how I usually teach it, is either get some wooden kitchen utensils or rose stems and clean them very tight, and just practice with roses first. That's the easiest way to do it. And then as you design in your hand, you lay them on the same plane, so they always go on one after another. So I'll try to do a design video about how to do that, but it's a terrific technique. And when you do a spiral bouquet, the way to always say, oh, I did this perfect, is when you cut the stems, you can sit it on the table, it'll stand on its own, because it's basically like an X. And you should learn how to do that bouquet. And you can do wild gathered style arrangements with this. I think a lot of people think it's just the tight roundy moundy with the spiral, but it's not. You can do both. But I'll be happy to do a demonstration on it, though.
We look forward to that, Shelley. Thank you. All right, we're moving on over to the topic of flower care. And we always have lots of questions regarding this whole topic. And that's why we created a really cool guide. Before we go into that, though, let's talk about the question. So Jeanette says, I hear contradictory remarks about processing flowers. I was told to get your lilies, carnations, etc. to open faster by placing them in warm water and solution when processing would help them open. Now we are being told by Oasis that we don't need to place in warm water. Cold water is just fine, and there really isn't any difference in making them open faster. What are your thoughts?
Well, latest testing shows that the hydrated, the hydrating solution travels best through the vascular system of a cut flower when it's at roughly the same temperature as the flower. Personally, I think the cold on cold method causes the least amount or the least stress and doesn't affect the longevity of the flower and keeps the cold chain consistent also, which ultimately makes for a longer lasting product. The act of forcing hot water into a flower can actually cause air bubbles to enter the stem and block the uptake. There are floral products designed to maximize solution uptake, such as Floralife's Quick Dip. After hydrating correctly for about 24 hours, try bringing the buckets out of your cooler during the day to warm them up slowly, then place them back in the cooler at night. The alternating temperature method stresses flowers a little bit, just enough to get them to open faster. So some of the older processes of using warm water, they've done extensive testing on it, and it's not the way to go anymore. Companies have spent lots of money testing.
Very cool. Good stuff. And we're going to post the link to our flower care guide too in the comments, guys. So if you don't have a copy of that, you can go ahead and fill out that quick form and get your download. Lots of great information that Dave and Shelley helped put together, and just to help make sure that you guys are processing everything. And it includes tips and tricks for some of like the high-end luxury types of flowers too that you guys are going to be bringing in for your weddings and events. All right. Shelley, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
I think it's just really important with flowers is always to experiment with all of them. It's experience and experimenting that's going to help you with getting product open, knowing when it's going to open. I think I've used warm water with success many times, but really it's about getting those flowers in days in advance. The problem is if you have too tight product, you have to remember things like lilies and roses take days to open. Warm water will blow open some things, but really it's just a matter of getting that product in early and opening up and planning ahead. In an emergency situation, I have put them in warm water in a brightly lit room and left them in a lit room all night, not in direct sunlight, but you want to make sure that the area they're in is bright. That does encourage things like lilies to open.
Yeah. Celeste says old school way is to bag the tops of the lilies. Do people still do that?
I did that really successfully with some roses, and I did it accidentally. I was traveling to do a friend's wedding in Arkansas, and I bagged some. No one hardly ever uses these anymore, but they're called Virginia roses, white roses. They have a really pointy head, and I made her bridal bouquet, and this was back in the 90s, and it was a roundy, moundy bridal bouquet. And when I took it, I wanted to make sure it stayed nice and fresh, and I bagged it, and the humidity and the heat in the car, just where it was sitting, blew those open so beautifully. Like I was shocked how beautiful they were. So that does work, and it helps really with roses.
Very good. And Penny was talking about a warm room helps them open also. When back in the day, before my husband and I worked at Mayesh, our wholesale company, we had like a full bathroom with a shower and everything. So if we had product that we needed to blow open, we'd just turn the shower on to hot and turn all the lights on and then put all the product in there and close the door.
It helps, yeah.
Yeah. Give it a little sauna room for the flowers. All right. Next question is from Courtney. She is asking how early she should order flowers for an event or wedding. Do roses need time to open before using them? So we kind of just talked about that, but let's answer her whole question in total. Dave, Shelley, what do you guys say?
Well, it's going to depend on whether you have a floral cooler or not. If you do have a floral cooler, you should be bringing your flowers in at least 4 or 5 days before you start to design with them. When planting with roses, it depends on how open the aperture you want to get these roses for your finished look. Some people like them all the way open and other people like them a little bit tighter. So it kind of depends. It can take 4 or 5 days or more in some cases, depending on the variety. If you're planning on keeping them in a tighter state, then a lot less time is needed. And if you don't have a floral cooler, you may want to err on the late delivery because you won't be able to slow the opening process with refrigeration.
Good, good, good. Shelley, you have anything to add? We lost you, Shelley. Yeah, I can't hear you. Might need to rejoin us, I think. Poor Shelley. Technical difficulties. While Shelley is seeing if she can, refresh. Yep, perfect. While Shelley is doing that, I do see, I'm just going to go through the questions that we have in the comments real quick, and then we'll hop back into her answer too. So here, where are pig flies and such? That's such a, first of all, I want to know how that your company name came about, because I think that's very interesting. Very cool. But they are saying, did you get your flowers at Southern in Arkansas? I'm traveling to Little Rock this week and going to do flowers for a funeral. Sorry. And we do ship to Arkansas. We ship everywhere. So typically what happens is we have a Miami shipping department and LA shipping department, and they carry pretty much the same product lines. And so Miami handles the eastern half of the US and LA works with the western half of the US. So that is how that works. And yes, we can help you out. So if you're interested and you're not a customer already, just go over to mayesh.com/register. We'll share the link in the comments, and then you can register and we can get started with that. I hope that helps. Where pigs fly and such. Hey, Shelley, welcome back.
I'm so sorry. Someone called in on my phone and it made my speaker go mute. So I'm back again.
Oh.
Sorry about that.
Everyone, no, you're not allowed to call Shelley right now. Okay. So as a reminder, Shelley, since you're just hopping back on with us, we were answering Courtney's question about how early to order the flowers. And so Dave just shared his thoughts, and I know you had some things that you wanted to say as well.
Yeah, I love this question too, because I had this thing and it never occurred to me, but if you look at your flowers as either, for example, things like lilies, roses, carns, glads, they all need time to open up. And delicate things like hydrangeas, astilbe stock, sweet peas don't. So my thing is, look at your flowers. Are they a mover or a sitter? That was something I thought, I never thought about it like that before. But if it's a mover, it does something. The lilies will open up. The roses will open up. Glads bloom open. Lilies bloom open. They're always doing something. And they take days to do that. If it's a sitter, it's really a pretty thing. It just sits there and looks pretty. Like stock, for example, or sweet peas or delicate flowers. So if it's a mover, it needs to be out of the cooler opening up, and you guys have to give it 4 or 5 days to do that. If it's a delicate little sitter, just looking pretty, it can stay in your cooler, and you can get that in either later in the week or keep it in your cooler the whole time. And I thought, that really makes sense when you think about what flowers do. And hopefully that'll help you next time you're thinking about it.
I love it. I feel like we need to do a blog post with just that.
Yeah.
Very cute. Very good. Thank you, Shelley. Our next question is from Pam. She is a home-based floral designer, and she wants to know where she can find some guides for color choices and by season. Is there a flower Bible or a website I can use for designs? My wholesaler has a small catalog on their website, but I see designers using all kinds of fun foliage and textures that I didn't even know existed. Problem that happens to a lot of people, and we're here to help. Who wants to go first? Dave? Shelley?
Actually, I think Shelley answered this one.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I'm sorry, the sound is skipping a little bit. This is the from the specific flower or formula recipes question. Is that the question mark?
No,
No.
this is the flower library thing. Flower library website. Do you want me to answer it?
Yeah, if you don't mind. I'm
No, I
sorry.
don't mind at all. No, no problem. So, Pam, we do have a flower library on Mayesh.com. We're going to post a link for that, so you can check that out. I talked a little bit about this on my pre-show, but so a flower library and any other tool that you find, honestly, just needs to be used with a grain of salt. It's supposed to help guide you, but it will never be an end-all, be-all because we work with Mother Nature and just things aren't always predictable. So go ahead and check that out. I know a lot of designers and people use a website called Sierra Flower Finder as well. And clients use that and like it. And also, we'll always stress this. It's always important to kind of build that relationship with your flower rep. You know, hopefully you're building that relationship with a Mayish sales rep and using their knowledge. But, you know, honestly, if you're not buying from us and you're using a different wholesaler, that's okay too. We can't take all the business. We know that, even if we want to. But they're really going to be your go-to source of what is happening in the world of flowers. So if you just need to have a Dave and Shelley in your life, really is what it comes down to. So that way they can help you understand what's going on, what's available, what's not. If you want different fun foliage or different flowers that you don't know what they are yet, then tell them that and they can be your eyes and ears. And so that way they can be like, you know what, Pam, I've got these really great greens in that, I don't even know the names of really great greens, but I know that they exist and they can tell you what they are and when they're available and when to bring them in and all that fun stuff. So definitely, build up those relationships. But definitely if you are looking for websites specifically, mayesh.com/flower-library, I think it is. And again, we'll post the link. And you can check out Sierra Flower Finder. And then also, I want to make sure that you know about our flower guide. So it's not necessarily by color, but it's really great availability list for each month that we put together in one download for you guys. So it has a list for each single month. And again, though, you got to take it with a grain of salt because even though if it's on the list, things can go in and out, like depending on the week. So it just, again, use it as a guide, but definitely talk to your sales rep about that. Okay, guys? And also, if you're looking for some like color guides, we did create a rose guide picking our favorite varieties by color. It's beautiful. It's tried and true varieties. We try not to use any kind of thing that we're not sure like if they're going to last or, it might be just too trendy or popular. So things that we know that are going to do really well for you are in that guide. So that's something that you should check out. And then last but not least, I wanted to make sure that you all know that I am working on right now our new website with our e-commerce team. We have a lot of really exciting projects happening right now, one including an amazing project that is going to blow our flower library out of the water. It's going to blow everyone's libraries out of the water. I'm going to be that confident about it. So I'm very, very excited about it. I don't want to share too many details with you guys about it, and I don't know the launch date yet, but it is coming down the line. We are working on it, and I'm really excited to share that with you guys. So it's going to make your lives easier, and it's going to have other tools. Our website will have a lot of other tools that are going to make your guys' lives easier. So stay tuned, and that is that. So, all right, moving on to the next question.
Thank you for reading my, thank you.
Of course. And this is one that I can actually do pretty well. So April's question, we're moving on to her question now. She wants to know, do you have specific flower formulas or recipes for arrangements and bouquets? I'm trying to price these items for sale, but each time I create a design, it's totally different in the number of stems and varieties. How can I streamline this process? Shelley?
This comes with time, but you have to kind of create your own templates to design with. It's the best way to keep your cost under control. You just need to vary your color palette seasonally if you do a template. If you create a basic recipe of 2 to 3 designs to start off with, this will not change much until you master those designs and start doing something else. Sites like Curate, which we love, offer floral design programs that you can save your templates and data to. So basically, it's really a good idea if you're new to the business or you're trying to control your cost. Pretty much every wedding you do or event or daily floral designs, you pretty much do the same usual suspects over and over based on whatever design style you have. So pay attention to how much product you're using and what you're designing with. And again, it goes to mock-ups. You can do 2 or 3 mock-ups of your favorite looks and styles. Really, it just depends on the bride's color palette change, and you just apply it. And this way you can keep control over your costs. And I think it's an excellent way to do that. Like I said, floral design is actually really mathematical. And the more you pay attention to that and pay attention to your product and how much you're ordering and not overbuying, you'll really get a good feel for what you need for all of your designs. It's very important to do a template or a mock-up.
Yeah, I completely agree. Again, way back in the day when I used to do a little bit of design of my own, I'm a very mathematical person as well. And I had a spreadsheet that had everything. So that was way before Curate even existed. If that existed, I would be totally down with using that. But yeah, you can do something as simple as a spreadsheet, have everything like in its own column. And then that way you can summarize everything and you know the recipes for everything and just keep you on budget and making sure that you are, while designing is awesome and beautiful and fun and it's art, you need to make money if you're doing it as a business. So the only way to do that is know what your costs are and what you're spending and what you're going to need to make a living. So very, very important.
Yeah, it's very true. I think a lot of florists don't like that aspect of it, the mathematical. I just want to make it look pretty. Let me throw a few more stems in. But every time you do that, you're throwing in a few more dollars. And you're giving that away to your client. There's a really cute story about a florist who made a rose arrangement or a pretty arrangement. And her customer came in and said, "Hey, that looks great. Do you mind just throwing in another rose for me?" It's like that's $4 or $5. So she goes, "Yeah, can I see the card?" And she writes on the card, "From your florist as well," like signs her name too, because she's like, "I'm gifting you." Remember, flowers are dollars; they're money. So stay very, very on top of your cost by being strict about that. But still be an artist. You can still be an artist, but a good business person too.
Yeah. And while we're talking, I'm seeing, Ryan O'Neill, Curate is his baby. And he's here. Hi, Ryan. And so he goes, "Ooh, pricing bouquets." He loves that. And he actually has a free spreadsheet for you guys. So make sure that you check that out. He put the link in the comments. Thank you so much, Ryan. But like I said, Curate is amazing. If that was around when I was doing my business, I would be all about it. So it does more than just recipes too. So proposals and forms and things like that, which also then reminds me that we also have a really great Florist software comparison update. Curate is our favorite, hands down, the best in town. But there are others out there, and we just want to make sure that you can see that, you can compare, but definitely check out Curate, and it's curate.co. Thank you, Ryan. And pretty soon, we haven't had Ryan or anyone from Curate on our show in a while, so I think that's going to be happening soon. We need to make that happen, right, Ryan? All right, so let me hide that. All right, how hide current comment? There we go. All right, moving on. Our next question is from Tiffany. She said, "Can you make or do you have a list of average costs for the most available flowers in each season? I just received my very first order through Mayesh yesterday, and I'm extremely pleased. Shauna is my rep, and she was so helpful and gracious walking me through the process." What do we have for
Well,
for
what I
Tiffany?
would do is I would have Shanna price quote your purchase orders every time you place them. That way you can make any necessary adjustments to your order before it actually gets shipped. Not only will that help you stay on budget for your events, but also get a feel for flowers that do and don't fluctuate much in price over the year. I have clients who request this price quotes for like every order. So I do a
Yeah.
lot of them. Doing this also helps our location buyers effectively manage our inventory by cutting losses due to canceled inventory. Disclaimer, pre-quoting is not an exact science. Many of the high-end flowers that we carry are sold on auction in other countries where prices can fluctuate depending on their availability. Supply and demand dictate auction pricing. Always try to build in some wiggle room for your flower budget.
Yeah, I agree so much with that. I think the one thing that a lot of florists should try to learn how to do is cost average for the year. So once you start getting quotes from if you're new to the business and you start getting quotes from us or your other wholesalers, keep those quotes and start learning when the seasons change and when product prices go up and when they go down. If you always charge the same price all the time, you will usually come out ahead by the end of the year. So roses are more expensive at Valentine's and Mother's Day. Peonies are expensive different times of the year when they're out of season. But if you always charge the same price, you'll usually do fine. Sometimes you'll make a little bit more money, sometimes you'll make less, but by the end of the year, you cost average that, if that makes sense. It's a good way if you're trying, and do that for a year or two so you can see what you ended up making in profit on the product. So
Yeah, and all that just comes with experience too, as you're learning and growing as a business. I know you guys probably are like my husband, where you can like literally just rattle off prices off the top of your head, and
yeah,
it's just ingrained. That takes time to develop.
yeah, it's the biggest struggle with people coming into our branch. It's always how much are these, how much are those. You have to learn it, retain the information, and most things stay the same price. There's a few items that go up and down, but it's just learning to retain it and remember it and keep all the quotes that you get. Use those for your future events. That'll help you out.
Yeah, I agree. You guys can hear me okay, right? My screen looks a little stuck, but I want to make sure my voice is okay.
Yeah, we can hear you, but you are stuck.
Move like 2 centimeters every second. All right. I'm just going to share a few of these. We have a little bit of time. So Serena says, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for all of this amazing information. You're welcome, Serena. Thank you for listening and watching. It's great. I love it. Tracy says, Curate is amazing. We agree. We love it. Honestly, you guys got to check it out. If you don't know about it and you're not using it for your business, first of all, again, just going back, like you're in a business. So, you got to use some business tools to make sure that you are doing everything that you do and making the money you need to make. Got to bring home the Benjamins, right? Haven't used that word in a long time. Since like high school. I don't know where that came from. Let's see here. Phyllis has some thoughts. She says, I have a photo album of my work divided into colors and I share it with the customers. It's small and it really helps both myself and customers. I have prices on the 3x5 card that I update. And so I think that's great, Phyllis. And I think you guys can do something like that on your website too. Yeah, good. Let's see. I'm moving through the comments, guys. Oh, Phyllis also had, does all fit? Cover our faces, but that's okay. Phyllis says, I wanted to shout out a huge thank you to Mayesh Portland. Jocelyn helped me out with flowers and amazing tillandsia. I work with, I volunteer with our local school greenhouse elective class, working with 6 to 8 graders. That's crazy. We did a simple floral design and recycle cans that they decorated. Thanks.
Cute.
Yeah, those things are always fun. This is about the like flower library types of things and guides and things like that. And Susan says, I love that you said use them with a grain of salt. I had a do-it-yourself bride pulling up another website who she was ordering from and thought an amnesia rose would come in ivory. So yes, there are mistakes like that out there, guys. It does happen. And, you know, like even if you use Google Images and you'll Google a specific variety, there will sometimes be several different colors up there. So you know that it's not always correct.
True.
Got to be careful with all of that. Hide current comment. There we go. Typically see. Oh, so someone was asking about, I'm not sure if this is an answer to that, but someone was asking about different colors that would work really well. Yes, this is for Indian weddings. They have a proposal that they need to do. And so Diane said, in answer to her question, to the person's question, which I haven't gotten scrolled down to, I saw earlier. She says, try looking on Instagram or Pinterest, but typically see lots of jewel tones for Indian weddings with burgundy and rust tone, and rust tones are very popular. Shelley, do you have anything off the top of your head, or even Dave, about like Indian weddings and colors and things like that?
Marigold garlands, magenta, orange, gold, saffron, really bright turquoise, those really impactful colors, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
And also check with your bride. They may not want the more typical Indian colors. I have a couple of florists here that have done beautiful muted tones as well. So check with your bride and make sure that that's what they're looking for. But typically there are very rich jewel tone colors, really nice saturated colors. They have very elaborate, gorgeous weddings. They're really fun and beautiful to do. I've worked on a few of them. So, but you know, I would check with your bride and groom to make sure they actually want those colors too.
Yeah, totally agree. And they might want like something all white. You never know. So you can't assume. You just can't assume. You never know. And I just feel like, you know, again, people always want maybe just something different, or they might want traditional, and it might depend on their family too. So many different factors that go into there. But definitely, I think I have a Pinterest board out there that we'll share. I'll put it in my show notes that has some fun kind of pins in there. So we'll share that link. Okay, let's see. Serena says, any tips on getting/picking a shipping broker? I live in Canada. Do you guys know anything about brokers? I feel like this is a question for my husband, but I just thought I'd throw that out there.
I don't.
Yeah. Serena, I would actually, our Miami shipping team is the ones that typically handle all of our Canadian orders. And so I would just connect with them. So if you don't already have a sales rep, I would again visit mayesh.com and go to register and just get registered, because just so you guys know, I feel like some people not everyone, most people are totally cool about it, but we do have a registration process. And what that does is we verify and make sure that we're working with floral professionals. We aren't like other wholesalers where you can just register and get an account and start buying immediately. That's not how we roll. We try to protect our customers, protect you guys. So we hope you appreciate that. But there is a process that we go through. So if you go to just mayesh.com and register there, we'll get you through it very quickly. It's not a painful process, I promise. We're just gathering some information about you, and then we'll connect you with Mayesh Miami, and then they will be kind of those knowledgeable reps that can help you through that process. So good question, Serena. Let's see. Is there anything else? Totally not related to flowers, but Penny wanted to know, Dave, I've recently visited Phoenix Botanical Gardens. Wow. Ever been?
Oh, yeah. Many times. I saw Chihuly there 2 years in a row because it was so amazing. So, yes, absolutely. It's a nice little jaunt, but only in the spring or fall. You don't want to do that in the summer.
Yes. I actually have been to the Phoenix Botanical Gardens because it was when I was pregnant with my first child. So it was about 10 years ago, which is crazy. But I also went to see all the glass too, it was amazing. It was so beautiful. Love it, love it, love it. All right, what else, guys? Let's see. I'm going through. Retail would be different than. Here's Yvonne talking about retail is different when you're designing flowers. You know, don't really want everything to be open and big because then everything dies right away. Right. So typically, yeah. I don't know if you want to talk about that, Shelley. Like just a couple comments there.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a retail flower shop and you're selling your arrangements, they need to last all week long. So you want them all tighter or not quite prime yet. So you really have to, depends on what kind of a business you have. So if you're a studio event person, you want all your product blown open and prime for those designs. But if you have a retail flower shop, that's a whole different animal. Your customers expect those designs to last for a while. So you would want to only send out tighter, fresher product for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Very good point. Thank you. Joy wants to know, how do you find a freelancer in your area for an event? I don't know if they're asking us how we find freelancers or just asking how to find freelancers.
In Phoenix, we keep a list of people who are on like a rotation that want to subcontract, and we use them with their destination events. And if a shop gets in trouble, they'll call us. And we all talk. So give a branch a call.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of Facebook groups, floral Facebook groups. So I would join those, and they usually will put out a call when someone needs help. So we have a group here in our area, and it's fantastic. You just go on and you join the group, and then when you need help or you're selling vases that you don't need anymore or whatever, I would join some of those Facebook groups because they're very valuable for that.
I totally agree. I think that's great advice, guys. And yeah, and I think all of our branches have like a list of freelancers. I'm pretty sure that they do.
Yeah.
Or know who freelance.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. All right. Yeah, here's the Indian wedding one. Let's see. Here's one that's kind of related to figuring out how much you need. So I'm creating my first chip garland, 24 feet, thick and wild look. Any tips on how many bunches to order?
Again, it's the same principle. Do a mock-up of your first foot or two and see how much product you need. And then you're just going to multiply that times the length of your garland. That's really the only way to do it. It's much better to spend a little money doing a mock-up than not ordering enough product or ordering too much.
Yeah. And kind of going off of that point too, Shelley, I know that a lot of people in their estimates that they provide their clients, there's always kind of built in like padding to do mock-ups and things like that. So that way they can get all of that right for their clients. Is that something that you would recommend?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's always a good idea. If you're going to do mock-ups, people, you need to charge for them. Do not do those free of cost because that's product you have to buy. And it's usually more product than you need for that one arrangement. So you cannot eat that cost or lose money unless you have a huge event and these people are spending $60,000 to $100,000. Then you can do you work the mock-up into your cost a bit that you don't have to actually charge for it. But smaller florists, you guys cannot afford to do mock-ups for free. It'll cost you $100 just to do and cost a mock-up that you might not be selling for $100 or $150 or whatever. So make sure you charge. I mean, I'm doing mock-up personally, but that's everyone's advice. If you're going to do a mock-up too, make sure you do it close to the season. So don't do your mock-up 6 months from the date of the wedding because that product may not be available and it could look completely different. So a lot of people shoot themselves in the foot by doing a mock-up for the bride and then they're not able to recreate the mock-up. So your bride already has a visual of what she thinks she's getting, and when you actually have the wedding, she's not getting the same thing. So be very careful with mock-ups. Do them probably maybe 4 weeks out from the event if they really need to see what your work is like. Just my thoughts on that.
Very good. Perfect. Thank you, Shelley. And that's a wrap, guys. Dave, Shelley, I'll let you go and I'll do my closing real quick. So thank you so much for your help today. And I will see you next time.
See you next month.
Bye. Yep, that's a wrap, guys, on our February 19th Mornings with Mayesh show. Our next show is scheduled for March 19th, so I hope you mark your calendars and save the date and join us. Keep on sending in your flower questions. I'll send out an email asking for questions very soon too, and kind of keep that flow going. I still have some more questions to kind of clean up from the last time I sent out an email, because you guys are amazing at sending, and really great questions too at that. So thank you so much. And on behalf of Mayesh family, I want to wish you a very happy week. And I hope that you get to chill and relax a little bit before you get back into the swing of things and recover from the crazy Valentine's Day holiday. Again, thank you so much for joining us, and I will see you soon. Have a rocking day. Bye, guys.